Down in the D.C. Bureau, we have Representative Ed Perlmutter, a Democrat from Colorado, as well as Representative Scott Tipton, a Republican from Colorado. I love that this is a bipartisan effort to get small businesses money, because isn't it, at the end of the day, Representative Perlmutter, the reason our economy moves in the first place?
Yes, if we can get our small businesses really moving, get them stronger, get them some financing, that's what will be the engine for our whole economy and put a lot of people back to work.
So, Representative Tipton, what made you two come together to present this?
You know, oftentimes, particularly in Colorado, we have a lot of common interests. Both Ed and I have a lot of small business in our districts, and throughout the state of Colorado, it's about 70% of our employment. This is going to be the engine that's going to get the American economy moving and get our people back to work, and whatever we can do to be able to help facilitate that is important.
You know, it's interesting because I don't think a lot of people realize that it's kind of an entrepreneurial mecca, Colorado. Many people automatically assume it's Silicon Valley, but there are so many entrepreneurs that do come to Colorado. I think it's for the weather and the skiing, but maybe I'm wrong about that. So, Representative Perlmutter, what are some of the things we can expect to see out of your bill?
Well, the bill, what it does is it allows smaller banks to continue to work with their businesses as we kind of go through this rough economy, gives them a chance to work out, get the financing that they need to buy their inventory, to continue to expand their businesses and hopefully to add people and, you know, succeed. So it's the kind of thing that I think Democrats and Republicans, wherever you are in the country, can support. And we were able to pass a similar version last year to the Senate, but it kind of languished over there.
So it's called the Capital Access for Main Street Act, and really it's about spreading the loan out over more years, right? Representative Tipton, I'll jump to you on this one. So it just gives me more time to pay it.
You bet, and this is going to be critical. Well, it's also on the banking side of the issue as well. Part of the problem that we've had with the regulatory process is we'll throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
What this is going to allow to do is you can have a performing loan that under regulatory regimen right now, the regulators can come in and say, no, the banks are not going to be able to allow to take the payments coming into profit, which increases their capital margins that they're going to have to be paying and limits their ability to be able to make loans. We've got to be supportive not only of the small banks, but the banks that we need to have loaning money to small businesses to be able to meet the payroll, to keep our people employed, and to be able to grow business. This legislation will accomplish that.
I'll throw this out to both of you, actually. How have small businesses fared in your districts? I mean, has it been tough? From what I'm hearing, it's still very tough to get money, to get a loan in to start up anything.
Well, I'll jump in on that one. For smaller businesses in Colorado, and I think elsewhere across the nation, it's been difficult because their usual lender, which is the smaller bank nearby, has been under a lot of constraints. And what we're trying to do in this bill is to give that bank the opportunity to work with their customer. We had something similar back in the late 80s. It helped a lot of banks continue to work with their businesses, and it saved the FDIC billions of dollars where they might have had to close a bank, you know, which would have really affected, you know, the ability of the small businesses to get financing. So that's why I think those of us in Colorado, Scott, myself, really want to move this thing forward.
Representative Tipton, you know, there's so much talk about big corporate America these days down in Washington, and many will argue, and I think you both will too, that the small business is just excluded from the conversation. All we've been doing is talking about subsidies to big oil, big R&D credits to our tech companies. Why is it that Washington misses the boat on the small business sector?
You know, I think it's just probably symptomatic of being in Washington, D.C. This is the biggest business in the country in terms of our government right now. We do need to focus on the income generators. We need to be incentivizing entrepreneurship in this country. That's what's made us great, and you noted earlier on. Colorado often leads the way in terms of job creation, in terms of new industry, new innovations in this country. We just need to unleash that potential, and financing is obviously a very important component in that.
Well, and they need a voice, and thankfully small business owners now have you two. And I do hope that you set precedents down in Washington that both sides can work together towards a common goal and actually do it with a smile. And whether you're faking those smiles or not, I'm buying it. Representative Ed Perlmutter and Representative Scott Tipton, thank you so much. Thank you for fighting the fight, and I do hope this goes through.